Daily Ticker Time on a Tuesday, brought to you by Pelican Brewing. Visit pelicanbrewing.com for more details on locations, events, award-winning beers, independently brewed since 1996. Pelican Brewing, born at the beach. The sad news over the weekend, we were just talking about Bill Walton passing away at the age of 71. Blazer legend, led us to our only championship. And joining us now is a man who knew him and interviewed him and had a hilarious piece that I read yesterday about the return of short shorts the last time he talked to Bill Walton, which it was fun just to kind of go down all these different rabbit holes. Casey Holdahl, good friend of the program, at C Hold on Twitter, Briefcase podcast as well. Casey, good morning to you, man. Thanks for doing this. Everybody's got their Bill Walton stories, and I've had so much fun reading them over the last 24 hours, and I've never personally met him, but I feel like I have after reading all of these stories. Do you have, if you ask for one, a Bill Walton story, is there one that stands out above the most to you?
Well, first off, yeah, thanks for having me, guys, and good to talk to you. So one, you may have never met him, but like you know Bill Walton. Like, I mean, like he's one of those guys where it's like he literally, like, one, if you had met him, he would act like, you guys have known each other for a couple of years, and two, it's like he's exactly the guy that everyone says he is, and one of the few guys that's really like that too. It's like there's always people that are like, oh, he's great, and like they're usually great people, but like the reality does typically match kind of what you've heard. But like Bill was like exactly like everything you'd ever heard about the guy. So my memories of Bill are more just like kind of general about him being around the team, and particularly after he came back, around 2009, to really kind of be more part of the organization, or at least kind of have more of a relationship with the organization. And for me, like kind of my enduring memory for Bill, and it's not, I mean, it really sticks with me, and I'm really feel lucky that I got to do it, but also it's kind of a sad thing is that, when Maurice Lucas passed, I don't know how, and this was, I had been with the team for a while, but I think like maybe 3 or 4 years. And somehow I was in charge of taking Bill's eulogy for Maurice Lucas from Bill, because he was in San Diego. And this was back when, before he had the surgery to kind of fuse his spine together. He was in, really rough shape. So I was on the phone with him for like an hour, and, he's going through, he had written a eulogy, and he was going through it, but he was also editing it while he was going through it. And,
wow.
Making changes on the fly and kind of asking me like how he thought maybe something might come across. And what I really remember too is that one, like, I mean, I could tell he was sad, and I could really tell also that he was in pain though too, because, we'd be talking, and like I would say probably every 3 minutes he would stop and be like, hey, give me a minute. And then, he'd go away for like 20 seconds, and then he'd come back. And, Bill stopped smoking, as I understand it, towards the end, later in his life. But I'm pretty sure before he'd had the surgery still was. So I kind of assumed that was him maybe kind of taking bong rips every time that he needed to kind of get back focused and kind of get a little analgesic. And so, I went through that with him for, an hour, and then, we used it obviously on the website and in the program. And, goddamn, I can't find it now. It's really bothering me. I spent a lot of time yesterday trying to find that audio file, and I just couldn't do it. But, like, that's the great thing about Bill too, is that like, he's so like omnipresent, and like, he was so giving with his time, with his personality, that like, I wish I could find that audio recording, but also it's like, I remember it very well. And also like, I just remember who Bill was very well because of the way he carried himself, the way that he treated people. Like, he was always so kind to people, and like really, you kind of assume too, it's Bill Walton. So it's like, he's a Hall of Famer. He's an all-timer. Like, you kind of assume, or you just get a sense sometimes like, well, these guys are really important. You got to really kind of be careful with their time. And Bill was like the exact opposite. Like, he'd just keep going and going and going. I'd be like, Bill, it's been like an hour and a half now. Like, are you sure you're okay? And like, yeah, what am I doing? So, it's really just kind of like, it's so great to, I mean, like, it's awful that he's passed, but it's great for people to be remembering Bill, because like he's exactly like people remember him. It's not like, when someone passes, you kind of think about the best parts of that person. And that's kind of the stuff you talk about with Bill. Like, that's all it is, like, there's not like a part of Bill where it's like, this guy, like, so it's sad that he's gone, but it's great to see people have such great remembrances of him, because he was a one of one, a all-time spectacular man.
Yeah, I remember, Casey, he was on our station in 2015, 2014, maybe 16, somewhere in that area. And I think Isaac said, "Hey, Bill, how you doing?" And he talked for 14 straight minutes, and we got radio clocks, and he's like, "All right, bye, thanks, Bill." And like there was no questions asked. To your point of just, and sometimes he admitted this. He never knew where he was going when he'd start talking, but he just loved to talk and share thoughts and feelings and express how he was feeling in that moment. I don't know if there's maybe a better way from the human experience of all of this. I know it sounds kind of deep to get there, but I think with him, you kind of have to have nobody, and it's not a knock, I don't think, but nobody's really diving in to the player aspect. I mean, this guy was a league MVP. He gave Portland their only championship, sixth man of the year with the Celtics, one of, if not the greatest college basketball player to ever exist at UCLA. And all of the stories are your stories, right? They're hey, this is what he did with his time and how much he cared and what he did behind the scenes. And I don't know if there's a better way to be remembered as a person, especially for somebody like him, of, you know, wherever his spirit is in the cosmos, looking back and people are just talking about Bill Walton and not saying Bill Walton, the basketball player. I have no clue how Michael Jordan feels about almost anything. Bill Walton, I don't even know if I think of basketball first, and I think that's remarkable considering how good he was.
Absolutely. And that, I mean, again, that's kind of encapsulation of Bill too, because like Bill's thing was like, he loved things, you know, like Bill loved the world. He loved life. And like, when you're someone like that, it's like, yeah, you're not going to be confined to just what you do for a living. And that's not even, that doesn't put it the right way, because like basketball was incredibly important to Bill. It wasn't like, this is a vehicle for the other things I want to do. It's like Bill loved basketball. I mean, he was an actual scholar of the game. But when you have so many interests outside of just that one thing, which Bill did, and not even just interest, but a sincere interest in everything. Like it really, those are the kind of things that touch people outside of the sport. And you're exactly right. Like Bill Walton, one of the greatest to ever do it. I think maybe the only guy or one of the few guys that's won like an MVP, a finals MVP and a sixth man. Like he obviously, you know, injuries slowed him down, but he even came back from that injury, won sixth man with the Celtics, played a huge role in them winning that championship. And you hear from kind of all those guys too. And like the way that they talk about Bill, even only after kind of a few seasons, is really remarkable. It just tells you the kind of person he is, particularly for a sixth man to be like the guy who kind of sets things up and puts things on a path. And, you know, when you talk about Bill in basketball too, like the way that he played and kind of his worldview are inextricably linked. It's like, it's the same thing, you know, like Bill's whole thing was like, we're a team. What's best for the team is what we're going to do. And like, Bill was like that almost to a fault when he played, because like, I mean, you know, you talk about being unselfish and being a team player, but like, you know, everyone who's at a star level generally, you know, like, no, they want to score, you know, like they want to get those accolades. And, you know, Bill was a guy who was more just like it was almost like he was allergic to putting things on himself or to being the guy. It's like you know, you always talk to him about those Blazer teams, and it's like he goes Maurice Lucas and Bobby Gross, and you know, like it goes on and on and on. And it's like Bill never talks about like what he did, only through the prism of like Jack Ramsey had to get me into shape, or you know, like the idea that like he was the one that was holding the team down. It was like, and it was incumbent upon Jack to kind of pull the best out of Bill, you know, like John was able to do at UCLA. So, you know, like it doesn't surprise me that people aren't talking about the basketball, because I think that Bill would want it that way too, you know, like I think he felt more that his life and his work was all one thing. And it was about, you know, the idea of like spreading love and appreciating the world for what it is and what it can be and what you want to make it. And, you know, that goes beyond kind of just his basketball play, and it goes beyond his broadcasting. Obviously, you know, when he was a player, he had so many different interests. You know, he's riding his bike all over the place. You know, he's going to protest. He's a vegan before anyone even knows what the heck that is. Like, so it really, you know, it's just like Bill Walton lived such a Bill Walton life, you know, like it's like I can't think of anyone else who like was exactly who they were in all parts of their lives. Because usually people are like, you know, when you're at work, you're kind of one person. When you're with friends and your family, you were another person. You know, Bill was Bill Walton all the time. And, you know, when you are a person like that, when that's the way you live your life, like the kind of the things you did in your past kind of they don't get washed away, but people don't pay as much attention to where they don't focus on them because you're always moving forward.
Yeah.
And that was Bill, man, always moving forward.
Well, I don't know if it was, I think it was on Twitter, you and Golliver kind of sharing and reminiscing about, too, him being open and honest, the mental health struggles that he was going through a little over a decade ago. And that just the openness and the honestness on a conversation like that. It's not an easy thing to do out in the public forum. And he did that. And I'm sure that was very helpful for a lot of people. I know it's only been a day, Casey, but you probably don't have any specific answers, but I'm imagining there will be something the team will do to kind of honor this next year because this is one that I know hits Blazer fans pretty hard.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything just yet. The fact that it was on a holiday, and actually the office was is supposed to be closed today as well because it was kind of our thank you for the season. So I haven't heard anything just yet, but I would guarantee we're going to be doing something. Hopefully it is some kind of all season long thing, and again, it's just Bill needs to be celebrated. And, like he's wherever he's at doing whatever he's doing, like, he's going to be doing that. And, he'll pay a little bit of attention to what's going on in Portland, I think, too, because that press conference, too, just real quick, like it reminded me, like, and it made me think of something else, too, that, Bill was up there and he had talked about this before, too, but that's how much he feels like he let people down and didn't feel like, he did the things he should have when he was here, which is just heartbreaking to hear. And, I was sitting here thinking about the other day, too, that Arvidas, when he came back to Portland, the one time he's ever come back, they had a big thing at Pioneer Courthouse Square, and he said the same thing. He was like, I felt so bad. I almost didn't want to face people because I just felt like I let you guys down. And, it really just made me think that, like, maybe there's something wrong we're doing, like.
You think?
I love these guys
that
man.
way. Like, they're beloved. Like, people absolutely love them. And, like, to go back and kind of read that press conference with Bill, and then I was thinking about Vitas, and, like, and again, it's just like, man, we just got to do a better job, I guess, of, like, letting these guys know how much we appreciate them and respect them and love them, because, like, the idea that Bill Walton from 1980 to 2009 was walking around feeling like he had done something wrong to Portland or to Blazer fans, or that, like, there was something he should have done, or that he felt like any guilt or grief about kind of the way that things went for him, like that just makes me feel so sad. Like he shouldn't have felt that way, and none of those guys should feel that way. Like we love them, and so whatever it is that sometimes that love turns into something else, and it's ugly and you don't like it, but like whatever it is, like we gotta make sure these guys know that they're important to us, because we've already lost too many of them already. So like if anyone's out there listening, like there's never any ill feelings. Like times are hard sometimes. We get sad. We get upset about the way things turn out. But like we really appreciate what you guys do and how you do it. And fans as well. Like the love that people have for this team is important. And I just think we do a better job showing it, I guess, sometimes. People, those individuals need to know.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's a great sentiment to wrap it up. Casey Holdahl, go check out the Briefcase Podcast. Great stuff on the Blazers so far. And into the offseason, more workouts I know going on today.
Blazer Balcony, too.
Blazer Balconies.
Don't share Brooke under a podcast mention.
Yep.
I'll hear about it.
Yeah, I know. We got to make sure to give her a shot. At @CHold on Twitter. Thanks, Casey, for the time this morning, man. We appreciate it.
I really appreciate it, guys. Take care.
Take care. There you go. Great stuff, Casey Holdahl. Sorry, the end guy. I don't know what happened there at the end.
What happened there?
Yeah, the end got funky, but good stuff from Casey. There's so much more that we can unravel with Bill Walton. There's just so much to unpack there. We got more audio to play.
It's too big of a life to sum up in a 3-hour show, man.